The Essential Education projector range from Hitachi sponsors ICT programs.
Well, we need the track to start. The thing is, someone's going to have to...
We're having rehearsals for live wire concert this evening. Reggae band rehearsing at the moment. We've got a schedule of bands playing all afternoon, acoustic acts coming in, sneaking out of lessons to try and get involved, and it's going very well. But I have to go and register my form now.
For the music department at the Hewitt School, teaching music is as much about live performance as it is about notation and composition, and music technology is seen as a key link between the two.
A lot of people will start with the curriculum and look at what the attainment targets are supposed to be and then sort of try and match the work accordingly. Sometimes it's best to go the other way and just to put on high quality music making experiences. And if you approach it from that end and then work backwards, you'll see you're hitting all those national curriculum targets anyway. Providing the music making and teaching is of good quality, it's bound to hit the targets.
Hewitt's always had a really good reputation for music historically, going back a long way. Prior to me arriving here, there was a succession of supply teachers, certainly for the last term and a half, which meant there was a lack of consistency. They did the best they could, but there was obviously going to be a lack of consistency. The exam subjects suffered and the department in general suffered.
I was actually a student here myself. I left in '98 and went off to do a popular music and music technology degree. And came back but found that things had kind of really ground to a halt in terms of extracurricular stuff, any bands that were on after school. It just wasn't happening anymore. We didn't have any Christmas concerts or any concerts at all for that matter.
We've tried to build a good team here and a solid base from which we can build. A major part of that is music technology. I enjoy using computers for composing and helping students to compose, those that perhaps wouldn't otherwise be able to access music, being able to create some very interesting and quite professional sounding pieces.
Luckily Peter was aware of certain kind of industry standard sequencing packages which we very quickly installed onto all the PCs that we were running.
Using technology in the classroom means that it's much more small group work, sometimes just individual, which can be difficult if you have a large class. One of the difficulties I found with my Year 11 GCSE class was that there were 23 of them, and it's very difficult to get around them all and give them all the individual attention that they need if they're using music technology. Bear in mind these are now quarter notes. Each segment is a quarter beat, which in fact are eighth beats.
Let's see how it sounds to start with.
Okay. So the way you could do that now, you can actually stretch the note you've already got. If you go onto the arrow and click onto it, you should. Well, that was a bit smoother, isn't it?
Yeah.
Less detached. Is that the effect you were going for then?
Yeah, a little bit quieter, but yeah.
Computers can be very time consuming, especially composing with them, and that can be a downside to things. But on the other hand, because youngsters know so much about technology, there can be quite a good relationship between teacher and pupil, and you can share ideas and they can actually bring something to the lesson for you.
I've been composing a minimalist piece for my GCSE coursework on the computer.
Tell me, how have you structured it?
I wrote some small ostinatos on the black notes of the keyboard.
Right.
And then I copied and pasted them all the way to the end, and then I deleted and cut some places out to give it variety and texture.
You've got your texture that way. Yeah. So each track is using the pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
The same sound on each one?
No, I changed two of the sounds. I had music box and marimba, and then for that track 8 I used the pan flute. I really enjoy working on the computer. It's something different. It's not like just being sat in front of a keyboard and expecting to know how to play it. You get to experiment with the different voices and stuff. It's more fun.
Or having to get around everyone individually, time-wise, it's a positive because you get to spend individual time with them, and I think the positives outweigh the negatives.
The old teacher-pupil model no longer holds here. The teacher is no longer the sage on the stage, if you like, it's more the guide on the side. So really, as you would get in an art department, the children just explore their strengths and interests, and the teacher is there to assist and facilitate the work when is needed.
Well, Livewire's effectively a rock concert, a school concert, but for more rock and pop acts, as opposed to a traditional school concert that might feature the jazz band, the orchestra or choirs. It was organised last year by Adam Lawrence, my colleague, before I arrived, and it was very successful. They raised a good deal of money for the department.
We have made a real effort to try and incorporate, obviously, the more traditional forms of music technology, things like amplifiers, even electric guitar is a form of music technology. But more recently, we've focused on actually using pre-recorded material from run off a computer, and using that in conjunction with live performers. So potentially, like at Livewire, we ran a backing track from a computer and then used the mixing desk to change the sounds in real time.
The music technology we use in the classroom enthuses the kids and enables them to achieve better results than perhaps they could with just a conventional instrument at their fingertips. That, I think, then enthuses them to want to be part of what's going on. There was a huge enthusiasm and desire to be involved in Livewire this year. I was bowled over by the amount of students that simply wanted to be involved.
This enthusiasm that really spills into many other aspects of what we do here, amalgamated within Livewire, which is a combination of probably a whole year's worth of work from all the kids involved, and it's really good to give them the experience of getting up there on stage in front of lots of people and trying to manage the technology. We've tried to fuse technology with more traditional instrumentation in a number of ways, really. Most obviously is probably composition.
Fred is a prodigious talent. His bass playing is quite outstanding for his age. I think he's just turned 16. His technique of playing is way beyond his years.
He's been writing, performing, composing for since year 8 probably, and is a very, very musical individual.
He's embraced the technology by recording his ideas into the computer using an interface. He can plug the bass straight in, and using a program like Reason or Cubase can create drum patterns and backing chord sequences to go along with his bass playing.
I've been playing bass for about 4 years, and I suppose I chose it really because it's just got a really nice, deep, beefy sound, and funky as well. Really, I just kind of sit down at a computer and play my bass, come up with a riff, and then record it onto Cubase. And record things in the background, have a backbeat, and just gives more feel to it.
He now has the ability, or has the facilities, to come into school and lay them down and to start developing them. It's giving him the ability to put the sounds that he can hear in his mind onto computer and then to record them.
One of the great things about working with music technology is that it enables you to work with music in a way which is stimulating, challenging and exciting. And so for some of those children who might be, say, disaffected with a more traditional approach, they find they can really channel and harness their skills in this way. And so all those sort of behavioural issues fall by the wayside.
Mark is a natural musician. He's very, very able on the guitar. He's very focused on his guitar playing, but he's also taken to music technology extremely well. He's very much into drum and bass.
I think the technology at the Hewitt, certainly getting on the computers and getting into Reason, has really helped Mark a huge amount. He's actually not allowed to be in a lot of other lessons, which has meant that he's spent a lot of time in the music department.
I started liking music when I came to this school. There was a teacher called Mr. Lord. He got me into playing guitar, and it just went from there really. And ever since then, I've been into playing guitar, and I've just my life has become more dedicated to music as I've got older.
He's astounded me recently with his aptitude for just taking stuff in, for learning how to sequence music, for how to create the music that he understands intrinsically anyway.
I like using Reason because it's got really good electronic sounds and it's really simple to use and easy to produce electronic music.
Suddenly he started coming into music all the time, sitting at the computers, creating these pieces, and part of that was for his GCSE coursework.
Once I showed him the basics of how to do things, he found it then easy to then go even further and create some really fantastic sounding tracks that, you know, possibly in a few years' time he might be releasing.
I'd like to carry on doing it in the future. I'd like to make a career out of it, hopefully producing or playing in a band or making drum and bass or DJing drum and bass.
It's fantastic to see so many of you people coming to support music at the Hewitt. We have got one heck of an evening in for you this evening. We've got over 17 acts that we're trying to cram into 3 hours.
I really get a lot of enjoyment out of my job. It's really good seeing them putting into practice what you've taught them and gaining the same kind of enthusiasm and the same kind of passion for music that you have, you know. So that's really what my outlook is. That's my drive behind teaching here at the Hewitt. It used to be the case that electronic music had this stigma attached to it, or electronic sound certainly had its stigma attached to it among music teachers and musicians. Nowadays, it's become so much a part of everyday life that this process of enculturation has happened. You've got kids who would find an electronic bleepy noise as natural as, say, a guitar or a flute.
One of the most exciting things we see happening at this school is that they're working with pre-recorded, pre-prepared music in the music department and bringing it into a live performing environment. So some of the rock bands are actually working with pre-recorded sounds, manipulating them live from the mixer and integrating it with their live instruments. And that is such a progression from the way things normally work in schools. And I would love to see much more of this type of work going on.
Young people like to access music through technology. And it can get them started on a route that perhaps they then turn to conventional instruments as well and use them in tandem.
We try to get people's creativity and harness that and then get them to use it with the technology.
We've sold out. That means we've raised nigh on £1,000 for the music department. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lawrence has left the building.
Essential education projectors from Hitachi sponsor ICT programs.